Welcome into the box score. Last week of regular season, Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair. Looking forward to week 11, Murph.
Terry, I've already got all my brackets laid out. I've got all the teams listed. I know they haven't qualified for who's going to be third or fourth in a particular region, but I've already got them set. It's the most exciting time of the year. This coming Friday night, tonight, however you want to word it, as to who's going and who's not,
right.
Who's going to play at home and who's not.
That's true. We got some region championships on the line this week. I know Clay County and Gordonsville will fight at Turney Ford Field for that honor. Let's go ahead and look at our Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week on DTC Sports. Marion County ranked, I guess, number 2, the last I saw.
Correct. In
Class 2A, beats Cannon County 42-7.
That score is not anywhere close to indicative as how close that game was. It actually should have been 7-7 at the half. A couple of blunders on special teams made it 21-7, but I am not convinced that Marion County is the second best 2A team in the state, not by a long shot.
5 turnovers by the Lions, Murphy, that hurts. I know it's good, total offense, you would think maybe a 2-score game or a 1-score game when you look at that, but
right.
5 turnovers really will hurt you.
Passing game was exceptionally well, and young Mr. Tyne made a couple of unbelievable catches. He's certainly going to play at the next level.
Let's go ahead and look as we look at these individual numbers. Tilton Pickett, 6 for 10, 56 yards, 3 passes for 10 yards and a touchdown. 3 carries, for 10 yards and a touchdown. And then Brody Leonard, 11 rushes, 53 yards and 2 scores. Marion County's bread and butter has always been to run the football.
Yeah, it has, and they're no different from that. But I thought Cannon County did a great job, especially defending the run, especially in the first half there. And looking at the Cannon County stats there, the Garrett kid, only a sophomore, and he got thrown into the fire, I think last week or week before. But a really good-looking field general to come up for the next couple of years. He threw some really nice passes, I thought.
He was 8 for 24, 139 yards, a touchdown. Of course, those 3 picks and then 12 rushing yards. And then Tucker Kine, who has just had eye-popping stats all year, 6 receptions, 127 yards, a touchdown, over 20 yards of reception, Murph.
Like I said, it was the score just exploded for Marion County late in the ball game with those turnovers. But Cannon County played a pretty strong first half, I thought, all things considered.
Let's go ahead and look at DeKalb County traveling to Sparta and beating White County to put themselves in the playoffs. A big win for Coach Steve Trapp. We had him on last week's show. And Malachi Trapp, what a game, Murphy. 33 rushes, 234 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 reception for 42 yards. Briz Trapp, 6 for 10, 111 yards, an interception. Also 14 carries for 56 yards. But I think at least the people I talked to said the guys up front, the tight ends, the wide receivers blocked extremely well. And if you've got a guy that's averaging, 7 yards a rush and getting 5 touchdowns, somebody's had to do some great blocking.
Absolutely, and it looks like the entire DeKalb County team came ready to play. And that pretty well assured them a shot in the playoffs. And to be quite honest, they're going to go in as the number 4 team, probably have to go to Red Bank in Chattanooga. But if they play like they did last Friday night against White County, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Region 4 had a sweep.
Trip Pinion with a couple of passes and touchdowns, outstanding athlete for the Warriors of White County. Demarius Dow with a rushing touchdown. Let's go ahead and look at the Bledsoe County and Gordonsville game. Bledsoe County jumped up 14-0. Wound up, Gordonsville had a chance late, but couldn't score. They won it 21-14, did the Warriors. An outstanding team. They've only got 2 losses this year. Of course, they're in 2A. They're in Region 2 2A with York. Gave York a really good ball game. Bledsoe County, of course, they're the Warriors. They played in Gordonsville. Justin Melton, 10 rushes, 93 yards, a couple of scores, 1 reception for 38 yards. Sam Agee, 12 carries for 69 yards. For Gordonsville, it was the run game. Canaan Musgrove, 25 rushes, 183 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then Dalton Hancock, 4 receptions for 51 yards.
Not bad. 7-yard average from Mr. Musgrove. I think the guys in the trenches for Gordonsville were doing their job very well as so.
Macon County went to Watertown and got a big 34-0 win. Tigers continue to roll on. They've got a huge game this week against Stone Memorial in Lafayette. Gabe Borders, 11 rushes, 153 yards, 3 receptions for 68 yards. Zach Borders, of course, that's his brother, 8 carries for 116 yards and a couple of scores. And then for Watertown, Adam Cooper, 8 rushes for 35 yards. But speaks well for the Tigers defense. Well, I should say the Blue Tigers defense to get the shutout.
Yeah, Macon County's been playing awfully well, and I can't help but think back a few weeks ago when they played Smith County, and Smith County lost that, I think, in double overtime.
No, in one overtime, 6-3, yeah.
But that, to me, with Macon County finishing second probably in that particular region and playing as well as they have this year, that Smith County is going to have a really good year in the postseason as well.
Well, Macon's got to beat Stone this week in order to get that second place. And we'll talk about those standings and the region scores when we return. As we remind you, you're watching the Box Score, sponsored by Carthage Safeway.
Your trusted friend for all your grocery needs in Smith County is Carthage Safeway, your home-owned and home-operated supermarket. From the delicious USDA steaks in their meat department to the freshest produce around, Carthage Safeway is proud to serve you and your family. Todd and Angela Skurlock and everyone at Carthage Safeway are always there with a friendly smile and a helping hand. Great service, prices, and selection. That's Carthage Safeway, 80 Dixon Springs Highway, Carthage.
Neighbors help each other. It's how community works. And it's how we do business at DTC. You can count on us for internet, TV, and phone, backed by local support.
For a limited time, get 1 month free when you add or upgrade your internet package. Enjoy internet speed that can keep up with all you do.
DTC. We're working hard to be a good neighbor.
Hello, I'm Bruce Daniel. I've lived in Cannon County all my life. For the last 59 years, I've only made it across the highway. I married my wife, Melody, in 1981. We hauled our first load of freight in 1983 with one truck and a couple old barred trailers. We found a way to make it. Our employees are the backbone of our company. Some of our team members have been with us for more than 30 years.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for Chief Geologist, General Mine Foreman, Mine Engineer, Graduate Mining Engineer, Electrical Superintendent, Mobile Superintendent, Mine Supervisor, and more. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and lots more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
And welcome back to the Box Score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair. And as always, Justin Malden doing a great job for us. And Murphy, we're going to now look at the scores from Week 10. And we appreciate Sonic of Carthage sponsoring that. A little bit of surprise there, Murphy, right out of the chute. Trouser County at home beating Clay County 42-14. So back-to-back impressive wins for Trouser County over Monterey and Clay County.
Two pretty good football teams there, and that's more than a little surprise there. I don't think even a lot of Hartsville fans, Trousdale County fans, would have thought that their beloved Yellow Jackets would score 42 points on Clay County, because Clay County's been playing awfully well, and I certainly didn't see that being almost a 30-point difference.
And in a shootout, Community gets their first win of the year. They beat Red Boy Springs 46-44.
Pretty tight there.
Light bulbs on the scoreboard were dancing, right?
I would say so. And they didn't even need an overtime or two to score 80-something, 90 points, whatever. Houston
County beats Joe Burns 15-14. And then Bledsoe County, as we talked about earlier, beat Gordonsville at Turney Ford Field. Looking at standings this week, pretty simple. Clay County plays Gordonsville. The winners, the region champ, loser second. Red Bowling Springs and Joe Burns play each other. The winner's third, loser fourth.
That Clay County-Gordonsville game, it's been that way, I know, the last 2 years. The last game of the regular season, the regional title is on the line.
Definitely is. Let's go ahead and look at some more scores. This from Region 3 2A. Of course, Smith County had the open date. Sonic and Carthage bring you those. East Robertson, a big win over Scott Murray's White House Heritage team, 49-21. Monterey locks up a playoff spot with a 49-0 win over Jackson County. Westmoreland gets a big rivalry win over Portland, 14-0, and then Trousdale, as we told you earlier, against Clay. Anything surprising there, Murph?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if Westmoreland's that good or Portland's that bad.
Right.
Because Portland's, aren't they a 5A school? I know they were a couple of years ago.
Right.
I just wouldn't have expected that at all.
Kind of been up and down, have the Purple Panthers. Let's go ahead and look at the standings. Of course, Smith County with their win, I guess that'd be now 2 weeks ago, over, to get the win along with the Trousdale County win. They got the win over Westmoreland and then Trousdale's win over Monterey. So as you can see, if Smith County loses to Monterey, which puts them 4-1, and East Robertson beats Jackson County, they'd be 4-1, but head-to-head, Murph goes to the regular season winner of that game, which was Smith County 14-7.
And Smith County moved into a tie for second place with seventh place with Milan in the AP poll this week too. So I wanted to make sure and mention that the Owls are getting some just rewards and publicity for the fine season that they've had.
And we could have a mess right here on this last one here. You can't never tell what's going to happen. Other than Trousdale County hosts Westmoreland, if Trousdale County wins, they're third. If, and of course, Trousdale County would win any tiebreaker with Westmoreland. They beat Monterey and then they play Westmoreland. So if they win their third, Monterey would then be fourth because Monterey beat Westmoreland head-to-head. So I don't know if their scenario, of course, if Westmoreland were to beat Trousdale, that would mean everybody had beaten everybody, and that would put them 5-5. Trousdale will be 5-5, and if Smith County beat Monterey 5-5. So we got to go a little further in the tiebreaker situation there, Murph.
I've looked at playoff possibilities, and there's 3 or 4 situations where we could go to an overtime game on the following Monday.
Right.
It's going to go that, or could go that deep in the possibility.
Most of the time, once you get to what teams' records are against that you've played, that usually is the thing that decides it. What your record is over teams with 500 or above records, or that usually weeds everybody out.
I don't think they've ever had to go to that last thing, which is an overtime situation the following Monday after the last week of the regular season. But they got within one step of that 4 or 5 years ago, and it just didn't happen.
Region 4 2A scores. Sonic and Carthage bring you those. This game a lot closer than I thought it would be. Fayetteville still trying to get second in that region, beats Cascade 15-9. Moore County beats Forest. And then Marion, of course, beat Cannon. Fayetteville will play this week against Forest. If Fayetteville wins, they're second. Cascade would be third because they beat Forest head-to-head, and then Forest would be fourth. Cannon County, of course, eliminated.
And 3 or 4 weeks into the regular season, there were people saying that Fayetteville probably wasn't even going to make the playoff.
Right.
But they got hot the second half of the season.
Right. Let's go ahead and look at the standings. Marion County on top there. Of course, they've got to win this week in order to clinch. No, they beat Fayetteville.
Yep, they're in.
Right, they're in, I guess.
Number 1, I think, regardless.
So, we've got Fayetteville sitting there at 2-1, Cascade 2-1, Forest 1-2. We know those 4 teams will make the playoffs. Let's look at now the Region 4 3A Sonic and Carthage scores. Sequatchie County beats Grundy County 34-0. Community over Red Bowling, and then Macon over Watertown. Sequatchie County's kind of been up and down, Murphy. All likelihood, as we look at the standings, they're going to finish second. If they don't beat Giles County, of course, if they beat Giles County, they will finish first, but that game's coming up this week.
Yeah, they're both 3-0 in the region, and then the next closest team is Watertown at 1-2. Grundy is 1-3, and they're already through with region play.
Of course, Watertown's got community left. If they beat them, they'll be third. Grundy will be fourth. The winner, Giles, Sequatchie County is 1, and the loser is 2. Let's go ahead and look at the Region 4 4A scores. Upperman big over Stonewall Memorial 48-6. I thought Upperman would win, but Murphy, I wasn't thinking 42 points.
No, I thought it'd be a little closer than that myself, but Upperman's just, solid. Both sides of the ball, got a little bit of depth too, and Adam Kane does such a great job down there. You got to figure Upperman's probably going to be the team to come out of that quadrant and possibly get either Greenville or Elizabethton in the semis.
Livingston beats Cumberland County. Both those teams were winless inside the region going into that game. We talked about DeKalb and White County. We talked about Macon and Watertown. Let's go ahead and look at the standings. Upland, it's pretty clear cut. They've got one game left. Macon and Stone play for second place this week. Of course, Upperman has now beaten Macon and beaten Stone. So in any scenario, if they were to get beat, which you don't think they will, but if they were to, they would still be the number one seed because they beat the other two teams that they would be tied with.
Correct.
The winner of the Macon-Stone game is second. The loser is third because DeKalb wound up losing to Stone. So DeKalb goes in as the 4th seed. White County, Livingston, and Cumberland County have now been eliminated.
White County just kind of slid going down the stretch. That loss to DeKalb just took all the momentum out of White County, and it was a big psychological win for DeKalb because now they get a little bit of momentum after that big win over Sparta, who played at 5A and made the playoffs last year.
Correct. That's a very, very tough region, Murphy, when you look at that. I know you look at Livingston and Cumberland, and they've kind of struggled this year. But still, when you look at especially those top 5 teams, pretty quality 4A teams that are pretty good.
I would agree. White County's got Livingston this week, so they're going to finish 500, I would say. And I think DeKalb County, they've got to go to Upperman or play Upperman. But still, that's 5 teams with 50% or more of their games being wins.
Let's go ahead and look at some other scores. We look at Boyd Buchanan, Gary Rankin, a big win, 14-10 over Knoxville Webb to win the East Division. Maryville upsets Alcoa. I don't know if it's an upset or not. It's 6A against 3A. Cookeville continues their late season push. They get a big win, 28-20 over Green Hill after beating Mount Juliet earlier. And then Lipscomb over Brentwood Academy and Page over Centennial.
Coach Hennigan, who I think played at Tennessee Tech, if I'm not mistaken, the new head coach at Cookeville, and he just happens to be the son-in-law of Clark Duncan, who was the coach at South Doyle. Right. And now that he's retired, I think they're coming to Cookeville a little more often, maybe to help coach and also oogle over the grandkids that they've got there.
Of course, Coach Hennigan's dad coached at Mike Hennigan coached at Tennessee Tech as well. Let's go ahead and look at the Region 4 1A games coming up. We talked about Clay County at Gordonsville. That's for first place. Loser second. Red Bowling Springs at Joe Burns. If Red Bowling can win, they would be number 3 seed, and the number 4 seed would be Joe Burns. So, it's kind of cut and dried in this region what's at stake.
Tough part of that is the fact that whoever finishes 4th in Region 4 has got to go to South Pittsburgh in all likelihood in the first round of the playoffs.
Look at Region 3 2A. Of course, Smith County hosts Monterey. Not a lot on the line except the Owls want to keep the momentum after a bye week. And you can see that game right here on the Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week on DTC Sports. Jackson County at East Robertson. Of course, Jackson County, I think, has been eliminated from the playoffs. And then Westmoreland at Trousdale. Of course, East Robertson playing at home, trying to finish at 9-1. Looking at Region 4 2A, Cascade at Marion County. Of course, Marion County, I think, looking to lock up the number 1 seed at home against Cascade, and then Forest and Fayetteville playing for that 2-3 game. Cascade likely will finish 3rd since they beat Forest in the regular season. So Forest could be an opening round opponent for Smith County. Cascade probably going to finish 3rd. They'll travel to East Robertson. Marion County would host their number 4 team, which is probably going to be Monterey. And then Fayetteville and Trousdale County, Murphy. That should be a big matchup in the first round with Fayetteville hosting that game.
I think without a doubt you're right there. Marion County coach Tim Starkey, I talked to him on my statewide radio show last week, and looks as though Marion County's going to end the regular season 10-0, but he's he said that team has not anywhere close to what he expected them to be. So they still got a long way to go to improve to reach what he'd like to see as his football team.
Region 4 3A, looking at those games, Watertown at Community on Thursday night, Sequatchie at Giles, Pickett County at Grundy, of course, Sequatchie at Giles. We don't know which Sequatchie team we're going to see, Murph.
Absolutely.
But, that would be a huge upset for them to go to Pulaski and win.
Yeah, it would. And for those of you who are internet people and can go to TSSAA and find the games that are going to be played this week, there's almost as many Thursday games as there are Friday games all across the state. Coaches wanting to get the regular season over with, so they've got Friday to go scout whoever they're going to play in the first round of the playoffs.
Region 4 4A, DeKalb at Upman, Stone at Macon, White County at Livingston, and Sequoia at Cumberland County. Murphy, Stone Macon, probably the marquee game there.
I would agree. That's one of those games. It just depends on what teams show up, because Stone Memorial at times has shown to be a very, very good football team. And Macon County really hasn't stumbled a whole lot, but if they stumble and Stone brings its A game, that could be a surprise in the making.
We'll have an interview with County High School's Athletic Director, Lydia Garrett, when we return to the box score, presented to you by Carthage Safeway.
Community Wellness Clinic is a nurse practitioner-owned and operated full-service medical clinic. Our emphasis is on good health and wellness throughout every generation of your family. We strive to provide the expert quality of care that our patients deserve and expect. Along with primary care services, we also offer a full complement of urgent care services. Let us be your family's good health partner. Community Wellness Clinic in Woodbury. Phone 615-563-7515.
Your trusted friend for all your grocery needs in Smith County is Carthage Safeway, your home-owned and home-operated supermarket. From the delicious USDA steaks in their meat department to the freshest produce around, Carthage Safeway is proud to serve you and your family. Todd and Angela Skurlock and everyone at Carthage Safeway are always there with a friendly smile and a helping hand. Great service, prices, and selection. That's Carthage Safeway, 80 Dixon Springs Highway, Carthage.
If you're a commercial driver looking for a company to call home, Huff and Puff Trucking is the company for you. Our employees are professional and dedicated individuals that take pride in what they do. We offer an outstanding pay package with a dispatch structure that maximizes your home time. To learn more about a company that knows you by name and treats you like family, call us at 1-800-965-5033 or visit our website at huffpufftrucking.com.
And welcome back to the box score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair. And we've been joined by Cannon County Athletic Director Lydia Garrett. I can remember when Lydia played, Murphy. I'm that old, I guess you could say. But first of all, Miss Garrett, welcome into the show.
Thank you for having me.
I know that fall sports going on at Cannon County. Of course, some have ended, some still going on, like well, I guess football has ended as well, right? Y'all, they have the bye in the final week. Right. Let us know how everything's going fall sports-wise in Woodbury.
Well, our girls soccer team got second place in the district and made the region tournament, and that was pretty exciting for our soccer program. You know, we don't have any feeder program for soccer or most of our smaller sports. They just start playing as soon as they come to high school, so we were very proud of them. And then, of course, football. Friday night was our last game. We got beat by Marion County, which is a very solid program. So very proud of the boys on the football team this year. But, you know, unfortunately, we didn't make the playoffs. So Friday night was our last night.
I'm sure when you look at boys basketball, they've got to be not thrilled that you didn't make the playoffs, but it gives them extra time to practice, because some teams that make deep runs in the playoffs, you know, they may not get their football kids to 2 or 3 weeks into the season.
Well, to be honest, we have not had many crossover athletes in the past as far as football players who play basketball. This year, we actually have 7 football players who are playing basketball. So I am excited about that. I think in small schools, the more you can share your athletes, the better all the programs are going to be. So, yeah, I'm sure Coach Nave is definitely glad to get those 7 back this week.
Lydia, I was at the football game, and I know a lot of folks were disappointed that the season didn't go any better than what it did. And regardless of what happened this past Friday night, that was going to be the last game for Cannon County. But the fan base was still awesome, and I was very, very impressed with that. They get out and they support the kids, good, bad, or indifferent, and that's pretty special. Those kids are out there working just as hard as kids at other schools that are going to be 3 or 4 rounds deep in the playoffs, and that speaks a whole lot for Cannon Countyans, I think.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things about coming from a small town that you can look at. You know, we're right next to Rutherford County, and, you know, we go to schools down there and we see the facilities, or we see, you know, the things that they can do there that we just can't quite offer here in Cannon County. But I'll stand by the fact that I think, you know, your smaller communities like Woodbury, you'd be hard-pressed to find, you know, better support than you would in some of these smaller towns, especially Woodbury. I mean, we've always supported our sports, and we travel well, especially basketball season. Oh, my gosh, we travel extremely well. So we're known to have a very good fan base.
You know, when you look, you talked about basketball there. Of course, Cannon County Gym, not the biggest in the world. You do have where the stage used to be. You've got bleachers there now. But on a nightly basis, if I'm with DTC or just over watching your teams play, you better get there early. You may not get a seat.
Yes, sir. And now those bleachers you talked about, it's funny you mentioned it. I think we got those when Coach Dodgen was here, and we were making those state tournament runs. And, you know, Coach Rigsby was here, and I think we hosted 2 sub-state games back-to-back, and I'm pretty sure the fire marshal wasn't too pleased with the amount of people we had packed in that gym. But it's definitely, I think it's a memorable experience for these kids to play in front of packed stands like that.
The American flag that Bruce Daniel and Huff and Puff Trucking was responsible for is, I can't come up with the right words as to how it affects my heart. They saw that in a neighborhood school, and Bruce said, we got to have one of those here. And when they unfurl that flag for the national anthem, that's one of the biggest flags I've ever seen in my life, and it's a very
beautiful.
Special night.
It really is. Mm-hmm.
When you look at Cannon County, of course, you're transitioning, I guess, to basketball now, and having 2 former players now as coaches there, not that you can't be a good coach, but I think it means a little more when you go back to your alma mater, and that seems to be with Ashley and Jared. You know, you can see how passionate they are about, you know, Cannon County basketball.
I think so. Like I said, I mean, a lot of comparisons can be made about small towns, Woodbury, for example, and us butting up next to Rutherford County. There's a lot of things that we just can't offer to entice people to come here. So I am very proud of our hometown people who come back, and you know, they know that they could maybe go make more money somewhere else, or you know, have better facilities somewhere else, or do this or do that. The grass is always greener, but you know, they come home and they want to, you know, contribute to the place that made them who they are, and leave a legacy. And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Lydia, let me go back to your position as athletic director. When you were first approached about that, I'm sure you had a pretty good idea of what your responsibilities were going to be, but what's maybe the one thing about being athletic director that maybe you didn't expect and maybe has been a little bit more of a challenge for you to approach on a daily basis?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like I said, I've been in an administrative role here at the high school, been the assistant principal for the last couple years. We're such a small administrative team, and we're such a small school that, you know, even with the previous athletic directors, I mean, there hasn't been anything that's really shocked me. I mean, I don't think, I think the hardest thing about it is, you know, everybody kind of knows who I am, or they remember me from when I was a kid, or you know, and sometimes when people ask something of me or they need something from me, and it's something that I just can't do, or, you know, I can't make happen for them. That's been hard, is trying to separate, you know, some of the personal feelings from some of the decisions that have to be made, or, you know, I just, you know, want to make everyone proud, or I want to make everyone, you know, happy, or accommodate them the best I can, and you just can't always do that in a small town. I mean, sometimes that can be hard.
Sounds like your predecessors, though, did a really good job of preparing you for your new assignment. And I think that's a testimony to them and what they've done in order to make that job a little bit easier for you, because it can be very challenging. It's kind of like that old Abraham Lincoln quote, you know, you can please some of the people all the time and all of the people some of the time, but you can't please all the people all the time.
Yes, sir.
Lydia, when you look at Robert A. Harris Gymnasium, of course, a legendary coach there that was many, many, many years, lived till in his 90s, just, you know, recently passed away. You know, and even after he coached there, he came back just about every game that I was at to support you. And I've noticed that a lot of former players are littered throughout the crowd when I'm there to do a radio game or a DTC game. And, you know, to have that kind of support from your alumni, I think really pushes the kids, because these kids grow up watching these players play on that same floor, and then to have them to come back and support them after their days are done, I think speaks volumes.
It does. And I mean, the cool thing about it is, you know, that it's been that way even since, you know, I played here in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I mean, it was the same way then. And it is very special. The people that you watched play when you were young, and then they come back and support you. And then, you know, it's special. It's a special place.
Are there any new things on the horizon? Any maybe considerations being given to other sports? I know one of the I say more recently, it's probably been 10 or 15 years ago when it happened, but bowling, I never really gave that much thought about being a sanctioned sport by TSSAA, but it's become one of the more popular sports, and I understand it's schools where state championships are a regular thing. Where bowling is concerned, those kids walk through the hallway just like a state championship basketball player. Are there any future plans maybe to add another sport or two to the list?
Well, currently we are in an agreement with Warren County High School. We're co-oping with them to start wrestling. So this year will be our first year where we have Cannon County students participating in wrestling. And like I said, that'll be through Warren County. Right now, I mean, there are things that we would like to do. Wrestling being the biggest one right now that we've had the most interest in. We're really handicapped with facilities and space. We only have one gym. So, you know, just trying to find a balance of what we can offer here with the space we have. And then, you know, if it's something we can't offer, you know, where do I reach out and find resources for these kids to have an opportunity to do the things that they're going to be successful at and the things they love. So right now, I'm really looking hard at wrestling. Hopefully, being able to have that here to high school before long.
Got any girls there that are interested in wrestling? I know that's beginning to be a really big deal statewide.
Yes, sir. We had a student transfer here from Warren County. They moved into the county. Marley Harris. She played on the soccer team. Very athletic young lady. And she is actually a wrestler and was at Warren County High School. And so, yes, she will be wrestling for us this year through Warren County.
That's pretty exciting. I'm glad to hear that.
I hear she's very talented.
Well, Ms. Lydia Garrett, we appreciate you visiting with us, and best of luck to Cannon County in their sports.
Thank you very much.
And we'll take a break. We want to thank Carthage Safeway for sponsoring the box score. We'll have more right after this.
What is your emergency?
I think I'm being robbed.
Sir?
These big home security guys want way too much money from me.
Let's connect you to a local company right away.
It's a crime what big national companies charge for home security.
For just $49.99, get a system with a touch keypad, 3 window or door sensors, motion detector, key fob, and standard installation.
Help is on the way, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Switch now and save. Call or visit DTC Security online today.
Community Wellness Clinic is a nurse practitioner-owned and operated full-service medical clinic. Our emphasis is on good health and wellness throughout every generation of your family. We strive to provide the expert quality of care that our patients deserve and expect. Along with primary care services, we also offer a full complement of urgent care services. Let us be your family's good health partner. Community Wellness Clinic in Woodbury. Phone 615-563-7515.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for Chief Geologist, General Mine Foreman, Mine Engineer, Graduate Mining Engineer, Electrical Superintendent, Mobile Superintendent, Mine Supervisor, and more. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and lots more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
And welcome back to the box score. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair and Murph for Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week on DTC Sports. We'll beat Monterey at Smith County. Of course, these teams have met twice before.
Really?
Before Murphy Fair was born. That's how long it's been ago.
That's been a long time.
1948, it was 0-0. Or no, I'm sorry, 49 was 0-0. And then the Owls won, I believe it was 27-0. I had a Post-it note and got it here to my truck, but then didn't get it in here. So they've only played twice with a tie and an Owl win. And they'll be meeting for the first time, Murphy, 74 years on the gridiron on Friday night.
I'm surprised they'd met that many times, because that was certainly before classification.
Right.
From Carthage to Monterey, without the interstate, just a trip and a half.
Right. I was going to say it's only probably 50 miles, but it's 50 curvy miles for sure, as people know, between Baxter and Chestnut Mound.
A lot of yellow lines on the highway.
That's right. But we'll have that game for you, preempted by this show here, the box score, from 6 to 6:45, and then from 6:45 to 7 have the pregame show, and then the kickoff between the Wildcats and the Owls. Let's go ahead now, Murph, and look at some of your picks. Take it away.
They're playing for second place. Jefferson County's already won Region 1 6A, so Science Hill and Dobbins-Bennett going at it. That's one of the state's oldest rivalries. I think Dobbins-Bennett has already played like 800 some odd ball games. They've been playing football a long time up there. Beautiful stadium, but I think Science Hill gets DB this year. The middle game there is the one that if there's any way in the world I could have made that game, I would have gone. They're expecting at least 5,000 people plus standing room only at that ball game. They're bringing extra stands in. Greenville and Elizabethton have been playing each other for decades, and this year's game ought to be great. They're both undefeated, ranked number 1 and number 2 in the AP poll. ought to be a dandy. I know it's at Elizabethton, but I think Greenville may have the better team this year. And then Boyd Buchanan, Coach Gary Rankin going for another 10-0 regular season. It's only his third year at Boyd Buchanan. He really thought they were still another year away from being competitive, but they're going to have to run into the likes of somebody like CPA or maybe Lausanne out of Memphis or something like that. But who knows? Rankin knows what to do to get a mark in the win column, so I've got to go with Boyd in that last regular season game.
All right, Murph, let's look at some Middle Tennessee picks now.
Lebanon and Gallatin, again, those two teams have been playing maybe as long as you've been around, Terry.
Right.
That's a great rivalry there. I know both of those coaches personally very well, and that's a tough one to call, but I think Gallatin may have a little bit of an edge, and the home field advantage gives them an extra 3 points, so I've got to go with Gallatin in that one. Marshall County at Pearl Cone, that may be where I wind up going because Pearl Cone's got artificial turf now, and the speed factor is a big deal there. I think Pearl Cone wins that one. Riverdale, Oakland, it's a battle of the borough, not quite what it used to be with the opening of Blackman and Siegel, but it's still one of those games that diehards in Rutherford County will go watch, and I think it's got a chance to be a pretty good ball game. But I think Oakland still wins out. Kevin Creasy doing such a great job there.
Murph, West Tennessee picks.
Camden at Adamsville. That will be my grandson's last regular season game this year, and he's had 2 interceptions in the last 3 games. I'm hoping for him to get one more. I'm picking Adamsville in that one. Whitehaven at Bartlett. Bartlett has just come out of nowhere this year. Actually, they were kind of on the edge of it last year, and Whitehaven still not the Whitehaven it's been for the last few years. Rodney Salisbury's still at the helm there, but I think Bartlett maybe wins that one. And then Milan Riverside, my gosh, both of those teams have a chance to go all the way. Riverside on the Tennessee River there was runner-up in 2A last year. Milan dropping down to 2A. I think Milan probably wins that game, and in so doing wins the region.
Let's go ahead and look at some local picks, Murph.
Clay County and Gordonsville, that's a tough one. I think playing at Turney Ford Field has its advantages. You've seen a lot of games there like I have too, Terry, and I think Gordonsville probably comes away the winner there. We've already talked about Smith County, Monterey. I think the Owls fly high there. Watertown at Community, that's a Purple Tiger win all day long. And then DeKalb at Upperman. DeKalb would have to play its best game of the season, and I don't see Upperman playing its worst. So I've got to go with Upperman in that one.
Murphy, I know we've had some injuries this year with these teams we talk about, but in this last little bit here, you got to hope that these teams get back to full strength as they head to playoffs, because as we've looked at the bracket, you and I both, we know there's some great matchups down the road, especially in round 2, round 3, and round 4.
Yeah, they really are. And the advantage to some of them, like Smith County, weren't they off last week?
Last week, yes.
So that gives those kids an extra 7 days to let those bruises and maybe even cuts heal a little bit more, and makes them a little bit more likely to get in the ball game than they would have otherwise. But it's that time of year that's so exciting. Everybody plays to the regular season to get a nice seed in the brackets, and it'll be fun to watch.
I want to thank Justin Malden and all our fine sponsors, and for Carthage Safeway, who's our title sponsor, thank them as well. For Murphy Fair, I'm Terry Collins. Good night from the box score.